Okay. So CBS Sports has released Big Ten championship odds, and it looks like Ohio State is currently the favorite to win the Big Ten championship, followed by Oregon, Penn State, and then Michigan in that order. So my question with that is, we'll go around the horn on this. Why are Ohio State and Penn State ahead of Michigan every year, despite the fact that neither has beat Michigan since 2020? TJ, I'll start with you.
Because they keep sleeping on Michigan, man. I mean, look at this. What is their record in the last 3 years? I'm projecting Ohio State and Penn State ahead of Michigan. 0-6. 0-6. They're wrong on both accounts in 3 years in a row. You know, I think that the issue this year is the uncertainty at quarterback. We know we have an elite defense. Our defense is better than Ohio State's. I'll say it. And I think Ohio State's defensive line has a lot to prove. You guys want to talk about having the number one defense. Your defensive line is not impressive. What? Because you guys played good against Missouri? I'm happy for you. Good job. Your defense underperforms and you guys don't develop for shit. Get out of here. Prove it on the field this season, okay? I think our quarterback situation is the unknown. I think it's given people pause. But, we'll have to see. It comes down to the quarterback play. I think we all feel confident about every other position on the field. I do think wide receiver has a little to prove, but the quarterback position is the biggest question mark for the team right now, and that's probably giving people a lack of confidence.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it is fair to say 9.5 should be the over/under. That seems reasonable to me with such an uncertainty at the quarterback position, and that is the over/under. I'm actually in this week's Smash the Numbers. I am going to go through. I'm going to do a little bit of the position or the schedule game, and I'm going to do probabilities by game to get to an expected value. I think, reasonably speaking, they should be able to go 1-2 in their 3 big games. The question mark is, can they run the table in the other games? If they do all that, then they'll lose 2 games, right, instead of 3. So if they lose 2 games, they'll make the playoffs. If they make the playoffs, it is a successful season. That's what I was thinking, for the last couple months. But then, I think both of you have been sort of convincing me that this defense in 2024 may be better than Michigan's defense in 2023. If that's the case, the sky's the limit. I'm not expecting Orgy to be JJ. I'm expecting Orgy to be like Milroe, but maybe 90% of Milroe, 85% of Milroe, something like that. That's what we're talking about. And I said earlier in the show, Alabama ran more than Michigan ran as a percentage of plays last year. So it is entirely possible Michigan could run a little bit more, pass a little bit less, and still have successful results.
Okay. Here we go. My issue is actually more with Penn State. Ohio State, I get that, even though historically the last 3 years have shown otherwise. I understand that the caliber of their defense is strong. Their transfer portal people, are there weaknesses on the team? Hell yeah. But I'm okay with that one for right now. Oregon, I don't have enough information to really chime in yet until we see more of Oregon. My issue is Penn State. Every single year, I think that Penn State and James Franklin have some of the best communications people on the planet. And I know that he has the best agent. So they put Penn State out there, and they buddy up with media outlets and YouTubers who are, allied with various networks or whatever. They buddy with these people. And then all of a sudden Drew Aller's like the second coming, right, of Elway or something, right? But in reality, Michigan basically returns almost everybody on defense who completely stuffed Drew Aller and those running backs the way that they did in that game last year, pretty much the whole defense is coming back. So my guess is that the game is going to go very similarly for Penn State's offense unless they make extreme changes to scheme, to play calling, which I just don't see in the cards, TJ. I just don't
Their quarterback
see that's happening.
Penn State quarterback sucks. They're not going to be as good as they're not.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State's thing is schedule. For the first time since they've joined the Big Ten, they don't have to play Michigan. They don't have to play Oregon, I believe. They have, I think Rutgers has also kind of a similar schedule where they basically avoid everyone. Penn State does have to play OSU, and that's about it. So in terms of that upper tier. So I think that's the logic. I can see a log jam of 3 teams. Hopefully Michigan will be one of these, but OSU, Michigan, Oregon, Penn State, 3 of those teams having very similar records in the Big Ten at the end of the year. 2 out of those 3 get picked to go to the Big Ten title, and arguably the team that doesn't make it might have an easier path in the playoffs, because I think all 3 teams would get into the playoffs. Let's say it's I'm just going to use Oregon, OSU, Oregon, and Michigan. And let's say Michigan gets left out for whatever reason. Maybe they all go 1-1 against the other 2. Michigan gets left out. They might have an easier path by not having to play a Big Ten championship game, which, they can't get the trophy. They can't get the glory of that. But on the other hand, they do get a bye, but not by not having to play that hard game. Then they're likely going to be in the top 8, and they're going to get a home game. So they're probably going to be they'll definitely be in a better position than the loser of the Big Ten championship game. And they might be in a better position than even the winner, because they didn't have to play a tough game on a neutral site, and then they get a home game instead. Right. So it'll be really interesting, the dynamics at the top of the Big Ten this year, especially if they bunch up that way and 3 teams go 1-1 against the other 2.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think I'll tell you what, this is gonna be one hell of a season. Like, period. Like the amount of premier games, the matchups, watching the Big 12 play the Big Ten teams, watching what is Ohio State going to do this year. You got Penn State. We'll keep our eye on. Drew Aller, by the way, is the quarterback I was thinking of. He's garbage. Any Penn State fans watching, you got a garbage ass quarterback. But yeah, and then obviously us boys, we got a big season. We got marquee games: Texas, Oregon, USC, and obviously the game, the greatest rivalry in all of sports. I mean, it's gonna be a hell of a year. And guess what? We're gonna be here for it. We got live shows twice a week. We will be doing post game this year, and we got a lot coming all year. Stay tuned to the channel at Michigan on the Voice of College Football, because, boys, it's going to be a great year.
Absolutely. And we're going to remind everybody of all the things in just a bit. I will say that I'll go a little softer on Eller, because he does perform well against teams called West Virginia. And guess what? Penn State has a lot of this year. West Virginia's on their schedule. So they're probably going to go 10 or 11 wins and then probably lose the big one against Ohio State, just by the nature of the fact that their schedule is very soft. But still, against the toughest defenses, they're going to struggle. And there is the possibility, to those in chat who corrected me there is still the possibility that Michigan and Penn State play in the playoffs. So it's not entirely impossible, or the Big Ten championship, because it's best of 2. So it's not completely impossible that they play, even though I am still getting used to the fact that they're not playing in the regular season anymore. That's tough for me, because I view them almost as, like, at this point, the rivalry with them feels in some ways even tougher than the Michigan State rivalry. Like, it just speaks to me. Like, Penn State, like, I don't know. There's something about that, maybe because I grew up in PA. There's just something about that one.
Well, I mean, look, they've been in the conference since '93. I mean, they're at the point where they are. I mean, look, they're an alpha in the Big Ten, and they are. It's a tough game a lot of times. And listen, going on the road is not fun for anybody. Okay, it doesn't matter who you are. And USC and Oregon and Washington are going to find that out. UCLA, that's a tough ass place to play. Franklin just cannot secure victories, man, and they always seem to collapse somewhere. So I don't know. I'm more optimistic for the USC match. I'd rather play USC than Penn State this year. I'm tired of Penn State. We always play Penn State. Let's get some new blood in the conference. And yeah, I mean, listen, the Big Ten is an elite conference, and it's going to be amazing for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, Dependent Fanatics comment there. I had Penn State at 10-2. 10-2 Penn State, easy schedule. Michigan 10-2, hard schedule. It'll be interesting how that dynamic. I really feel there's a good chance there's going to be a logjam of 3, maybe even 4 teams that are bunched up at the top of the Big Ten, with only 2 being allowed to play in the championship game.
Yeah, I think you will see that. You will see that, and it's going to be like probably the last November is going to be wild. I mean, just that's what I mean. Like, people are like, oh, the regular season is going to mean less. No, it's not. Especially with home field advantage, especially with bye weeks on the line. You're going to want home field advantage in the playoffs, okay? Especially if you're a Northern team, you want that. So, I mean, listen, this year is going to be epic. I already know it. Plus, we have college football 25. Come on, man. Like, what a year for college football. It's only going up.
Absolutely.
I'm taking EMU to the playoffs in college football 25.
Whoa. EMU does not get revenue sharing fares. How are you going to do this?
I don't know. Somehow I'm gonna get my nephew who's a big time gamer. I'm gonna find whatever 15-year-old I can down the street, and we're gonna figure out a way to make it happen.